Ever wondered how to use microtones to spice up your jazz harmonies?
Totally. I thought I was the only one thinking about that.
Well then, let's dive right into it.
The wormhole
Goes really deep on this one.
Here between the lines.
In our last two videos, we talked about different ways of modulating microtonally using pivots or contrary motion. We recommend watching those before you continue watching this one. Okay, let's just get started. You know what a subdivision is, right?
Sure, but isn't that a rhythmic concept?
Just bear with me for a second. A time space can be divided into as many parts as you like. This subdivision determines the rhythmic feel of a song and is the underlying grid connecting the different textures that make up the groove.
Okay, but what does it have to do with harmony?
Well, maybe we can subdivide other things. Intervals, for example. Only instead of the time space, we can divide the pitch space between the notes.
Ah, kinda like the octave is divided into 12 notes?
Exactly. Equally spaced notes.
Let's look at a major third as an example. If you split it in half, you get 2 whole tones, and if you quarter it, you get semitones. So we have 2 ways of subdividing a major third's pitch space in 12-tet. If you try dividing other intervals in this tuning system, you will quickly notice that some intervals have more possible divisions than others. If the number of semitones making up the interval is a prime number, it will only be divisible by semitones and by nothing else. So a minor third, a fourth, a fifth, and a major seventh. However, by simply doubling the divisions of the octave, these intervals are now halvable. So let's divide a minor third in 24-tet, shall we?
Now we have multiple options available. If we split it down the middle again, we get 2 neutral seconds, neither major nor minor. Divided into 3, we get semitones, and 6 pieces would be quartertones. All of these intervals are harmonizable in 24 divisions of the octave, just as we described in our previous episode about contrary motion.
But I saw this Jacob Collier video where he was dividing the minor third into 4 equal steps. What was that all about?
Join in any reindeer games.
Instruments with free intonation can subdivide any interval into as many pieces as they want.
But can we still harmonize it?
Sure, no problem.
Join in any reindeer games.
That means we need a new tuning system, right? My brain hurts.
Yeah, 31 notes per octave.
Oh, God.
31 notes per octave is a system that better approximates the overtone series than 12 divisions do, so we'll be sure to find a great sounding minor third in there. And yes, there are other tuning systems with nice minor thirds too. 31 divides the whole tone into 5 pieces, unsurprisingly called fifth tones, this tuning system's smallest block size.
Quick side note. Seeing as we're thinking in 31 notes per octave now, we need to distinguish previously enharmonically equivalent notes. So the sharp 2 is not the same note as the flat 3 anymore, which is why we need 8 fifth tones instead of 7 to construct a minor third.
Exactly, and that means it can be divided into 2, 4, or 8 equal steps. So let's just take 2 fifth tone steps at a time for 4. So the melody goes,
Join in any reindeer games. And Jacob sings,
join in any reindeer games. And together they sound like this. Join in any reindeer games. Well, that's
weird.
Okay, let's just start with the stuff that's describable using regular 12-tet music theory. Our first chord is quite clearly a G dominant 7th, setting up the expectation to move to C, which, incidentally, is the last chord of this progression. So far, so good. But how can we justify the G flat, F sharp, and F sharp?
Well, if you take a look at the overtone series, you'll see that the F sharp is actually the harmonic 7th of G. So in combination with the D in the melody, we almost have a complete dominant chord. So let's just fill in the missing third. But how do we get to the B?
Well, it also starts out on a G7th chord, so let's just use another B. In G flat, we could use a B flat. Chromatically shifting dominants are quite common. In that case, the G would be a sharp 8. In 12th, we would say flat 9. Quite a spicy interval in its own right. So how about we legitimize it with a 5th on top? Nice. To round it off, add an E, G flat's harmonic 7th, making it an augmented 7th chord.
The next one is quite a challenge to pull off too, but we can make it work. We have to find a context for the G and the F shed to fit into. Since they produce an interval that can't be represented in 12th, a neutral second, we need to consult the overtone series to find their potential consonants. So where can we find a neutral second in the overtone series?
No, 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 no. Ah, there's one between the 10th and 11th overtone. Or between the 11th and the 12th. So either of our notes could function as the shed 11. Both ratios are approximated by the same neutral second in 31 tone equal temperament. We decided on a G functioning as a shed 11 in a D flarp 7th chord, and filled out the rest of the chord with reasonable voice leading.
Let's hear this monster.
Join in any reindeer games.
By the way, only one of our voices moved by equal step sizes, the one Jacob sang. The others moved on the 31 tet grid, depending on the harmonic context. But respecting voice leading, of course.
Should you, however, not be constricted to any tet system, you can do it like Jacob did and let all your voices flow freely from one chord into the next. Disregarding entirely any notion of notatable or functional harmony, every voice subdivides their pitch space into the same amount of pieces, resulting in vastly different step sizes, and only resolving on the final chord.
Easy.
Man, we always talk about theory so much. I want to do something practical.
Me too. Let's try it together. The point is, you can basically do anything. Divide your interval into as many steps as you wish. If you want to harmonize it, look for a suitable TED system. And if you want to practice it and don't want to do the math, head over to our Patreon page where we uploaded exercises for subdividing all intervals or pitch spaces up to a major third.
And if you still think pitch and rhythm aren't related, check out Adam's harmonic polyrhythms. Talking about pitch bass.
This episode was made possible by our awesome supporters on Patreon. If you like our videos, join us and become part of the microtonal jazz solution.
And if you don't want to miss any upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon. There's much more to come. So, stay tuned.